Je crois qu'il va remonter.
Ça travaille beaucoup, n'est-ce pas? Vous voyez? Le dernier passage, là, comment c'est passé?
Derrière, non, pas maintenant, ils vont remonter. Quand il va revenir, je vais mettre.
Si on fait le brief comme ça.
D'accord. Ça bouge. D'accord, c'est excellent.
Vous allez monter en même temps.
D'accord. C'est une excellente chose. Okay, fine, and you? Okay. Okay.
Good to see you.
It's a privilege for us. Okay. I see.
From Hong Kong,
Okay.
from China, from Korea, and from Beijing.
Okay, okay.
Yes. And Miss Clementine is a near student of yours.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yes, and she's very helpful to me for the country. Yes.
Okay. I see that the president will go to Korea before the end of the year.
Yeah, we would like to extend you to Singapore.
Okay. Why not?
Celui qui a ouvert la scène de Singapore, le premier, c'est elle,
I would like to extend the invitation.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
c'est Kablan, qui sont en relation avec ce programme de formation des Ivoiriens en anglais. C'est pour faire, puisque les gars viennent ici, voilà, pour faire les filles exposées.
So you educate our people. Okay, that's great. Thank you again. See you. Hello. I'm CC. Okay, I'm sure. Ah oui, c'est d'accord. De quel côté? Ah oui, d'accord. Hi, hello, hi. Nice to meet you. Okay, nice to meet you.
C'est le même groupe là, ça c'est où là?
Ah oui, d'accord, vous deux.
Celui qui vient de Caroline du Nord, c'est qui vient de l'aéroport.
Okay, so you are just in the airport of San Pedro, in the western part of Cote d'Ivoire. That's great. But we have a competition with the South African who are so interested in this sport. So I know that you don't fear. So there is no problem. Okay, pleased to meet you. Okay. Which part of the In which sector or activity? New York. New York. Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm Song Kim from Korea House Radio.
Okay.
I'm actually working for Korea's Ministry of Trade.
Okay.
Mr. Deputy Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister, special advisors, honorable elected representatives, Excellency Ambassador Antonio Tete, Permanent Observer of the AU to the United Nations, Director General and CEOs, dear businessmen and women, fellow Ivorians, members of the Ivorian diaspora, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like Honorable Prime Minister of Côte d'Ivoire, in the name of my colleagues, Ambassador Youssouf Bamba, Permanent Representative of Côte d'Ivoire to the UN, His Excellency Ambassador Kwame Ngoran, Ambassador of Côte d'Ivoire to Canada, as well as in the name of the Delegate General of the Office of Economic Promotion of Côte d'Ivoire abroad and mainly in the US, Canada, and Mexico, who organized this great event. In the name of those persons I just mentioned, I would like to wish you a warm welcome to you, Mr. Prime Minister, and to your delegation. And I will also want to express the same warm welcome to all the participants to this great event. This gathering, by your presence, dear invitees, dear guests, is the testimony and the interest that you show to our country, Côte d'Ivoire. To make things short, I will say very short, let us first ask, what is the importance of this forum, doing business in Côte d'Ivoire? Indeed, this forum is important. Côte d'Ivoire, the then economic driving force, let's say the economic engine of the West African region, has gone through during this last decade some difficulties. Others call it crisis. Now I can tell you that the crisis is over. The country has come back to peace, stability, democracy, rule of law, good governance, with a new attractive business climate, with a lot of incentive measures for private sector investment, with a very interesting return on investment. As it is known, Côte d'Ivoire is one of the largest economies in sub-Saharan Africa, and also the business infrastructure is superior to many in the region. The Ivorian economy is growing. The Ivorian economy is booming, offering huge business opportunities in all the economic sectors. But, ladies and gentlemen, all this doesn't happen by chance. There are architects. There is a principal architect of the rebirth of Côte d'Ivoire. The architect is His Excellency, President Alassane Ouattara. And President Alassane Ouattara is second by a man, a well-known man known as a hard worker. This man is the one who is with us today. I mean Prime Minister Daniel Kablan Duncan. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to introduce His Excellency Daniel Kablan Duncan, who is also Minister of Finance and Budget of Côte d'Ivoire. Prior to his assignment as Prime Minister in November 2012, he was the Senior Minister of Foreign Affairs of Côte d'Ivoire. Prime Minister Daniel Kablan Duncan, who is occupying this position for the second time, because he has been Prime Minister almost more than 20 years ago. He was already occupying this position, and precisely from December 1993 to December 1999. Ladies and gentlemen, among others, Prime Minister Daniel Kablan Duncan has been Minister of Finance long time ago and CEO of the Social Security Agency in our country, and he occupied other high-ranking positions that we cannot mention all here. He was also a high-ranking officer of our central bank. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the Prime Minister of Côte d'Ivoire, who has come with a high-ranking delegation, including the Minister of Industry and Mining, Minister Jean-Claude Brou, and CEOs, advisors, and other high-ranking officers of the Ivorian government, be it public or private. Now, what I can say is to tell you, we should ask ourselves what the new Côte d'Ivoire is. What reforms have been done? What is the new business climate and environment in Côte d'Ivoire? Nobody except Prime Minister Daniel Kablan Duncan can answer to this question. That's why I am very honored, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you that just before the Prime Minister appeared to speak to you, we usually say that pictures speak better than words. That's why they will show you a short video on Côte d'Ivoire, the country for which you have come here, for some of you from very far, to come to express your dedication to this country that has realized a lot of achievement. Even many years before, the people addressed to Côte d'Ivoire as an economic miracle. I can assure you that under the leadership of President Alassane Ouattara and his Prime Minister, this miracle is going to happen again. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your presence to this great event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, for your opening remark. At this time, we would like to invite you to watch the institutional movie about Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Côte d'Ivoire, land of hospitality and hope, an ethnic melting pot of cultural diversity. Welcome from an amazing people, a people led by an unshakable faith in the future. Faith that leads us to take the biggest risks, face the biggest challenges, a people whose revenue is the key to the vitality of its consumer society. A country in the process of renewing itself and showing strong and sustainable growth thanks to investments in its infrastructures and human capital, and to the creation of new opportunities in fields such as agribusiness, renewable energy, information and communication technology, mines and hydrocarbon. Welcome a country of great ambition, wanting to be amongst emerging countries by 2020. A country with the ambition to succeed in ensuring that the courageous institutional and sectoral reforms are defined in order to sustain political stability and security, in order to enhance the business climate, in order to favor the creative genius of its people and those willing to work with them in the vision. Welcome to the gate of an awakening West Africa. Investing in Côte d'Ivoire will give you access to a 300 million people market, as we are the driving force of the sub-region, the microcosm of its culture. Welcome to Côte d'Ivoire, starting this wonderful adventure of social and economic development. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for believing in our country. Thank you for coming with us in this new economic momentum, because best opportunities are here.
Excellency Prime Minister, Mr. Kablan Duncan, we are very happy to have you among us today to present the various opportunities that Côte d'Ivoire can offer to the investors in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, without no further ado, let's welcome the Prime Minister of Côte d'Ivoire in charge of the economic and finance, Mr. Daniel Kablan Duncan.
Well, thank you. Be seated. Thank you very much. I was just wondering if I have to speak in French or in English. But I see that I have no choice because there's no translation here. So I venture to speak in English. Mr. Minister of Industry and Mining, Excellencies, Honorable Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chairs of Board of Directors, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chief Executive Officers, ladies and gentlemen, I would like first of all to thank all businessmen and women from New York City and other cities of the East Coast of the United States of America for their presence at this important gathering. I would like to warmly thank you for your ongoing support and interest in investment opportunities in Côte d'Ivoire through this important business forum in New York. Last week, I led an Ivorian delegation to the spring meetings of the IMF and the World Bank. And in Washington, we met representatives from the US private sector, including distinguished members of the Corporate Council on Africa. Today, I'm in New York City, the business and financial capital of the world, and I'm glad to be here with you. Let me also convey the warm greetings from His Excellency Mr. Alassane Ouattara, President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, a well-known liberal economist who worked as Deputy Managing Director for some years at the International Monetary Fund from 1994 to 1999. President Ouattara attaches a great importance to the strengthening of the cooperation and economic partnership with your great country. We all like New York because it also reminds us that business is ever present in your various activities here. However, we are mindful that it would take a lot of efforts and energies to foster genuine win-win partnership between Côte d'Ivoire and the USA, in particular with businesses in the East Coast. In fact, for now, we must recognize that trade relations between our two countries are clearly below potentials for both parties. The total volume of trade is estimated at about $1.2 billion US. Ivory Coast exports to the United States essentially commodities such as coffee, cocoa beans, and byproducts, natural rubber, and US exports to Côte d'Ivoire mainly foodstuffs, equipment, namely vehicles and trucks. It is therefore a good thing that the US Côte d'Ivoire Business Council was established in New York in September 2012 to boost the partnership between our two countries. US key stakeholders in Côte d'Ivoire are Citibank, FedEx, Boeing, Cargill, Chevron, General Electric, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, and Anadarko. But besides these large corporations, we would like to have small and medium-sized US companies in our country to provide an added value to our local products. That is why it's a real pleasure for me to take the time to share with you the vision of the economic development and investment promotion of our country. Côte d'Ivoire was a politically stable country with a thriving economy from 1960, the year of its independence, to 1999, the year of the first military coup d'etat. It was one of the showcase and gateway of Western Africa. From 2000 to 2010, Côte d'Ivoire went through a decade of political and military crisis that ended in April 2011. Since then, and less than 3 years after, the government of President Alassane Ouattara has been formed. One can state that Côte d'Ivoire is back. This message is more pertinent today than ever before, The country is run by a strong and respected leadership in the sub-region. The great ambition of our President, Alassane Ouattara, is to make Côte d'Ivoire an emerging market by 2020. In that context, the government has set 3 priorities, namely peace and security, national reconciliation and social cohesion, and finally, economic recovery and national reconstruction. As far as peace, security, and national reconciliation are concerned, I would like to assure you that security and peace are being consolidated. In fact, the insecurity index, according to the UN system, has been reduced from a level 4 to yearly 2012 to level 2 today, a level which is comparable to cities like New York or Geneva. Moreover, this has contributed significantly to progress on the national reconciliation through the Dialogue and Reconciliation Commissions. In addition, the government is conducting an inclusive political dialogue that has contributed to send 3 bills to the Parliament concerning the adoption of laws on political party financing, the status of opposition political parties, and finally, a new independent electoral commission for the coming presidential and parliamentary elections in 2015 and 2016. On the economic and reconstruction front, the performance in 2013 confirms a robust economic recovery that is inclusive, durable, and sustainable. According to the IMF, economic growth reached 9.8% in 2012, and the estimate at about 8.7% in 2013. The aim of the government is to reach a double-digit growth, 10%, in 2014 and 2015. These results were achieved within the context of subdued inflation, averaging 2.6% a year, and rising investment, representing 16.5% of GDP in 2013, compared to 8.2% in 2011. Exports has also performed well, increased 6.2%. So did imports, which rose by about the same rate, since 6.4%, particularly concerning equipment goods. Finally, households' consumption increased by 7.5%, reflecting the rise in GDP per capita, which grew by 15% between 2011 and 2013. The Ivorian government is speeding up the reforms to improve public governance, competitiveness of the economy and business environment. The country is ranked among the top 10 world reformers concerning the business environment, according to the 2014 World Bank Doing Business report. The momentum of the reforms is maintained by the government that has already adopted and implemented new investment codes, particularly in mining, electricity, ICT, ITC, land tenure, which are more attractive and in line with international standards. The promotion of good governance remains one of the top priorities of the state. This has resulted in the adoption of a law to eliminate corruption practices, as well as the setting up of the High Authority of Good Governance to fight corruption. In addition, the Ivorian government is committed to become a member of the Open Government Partnership, OGP, in October 2013 in London. The creation of the Commercial Court of Abidjan, now operational for more faster and impartial conflict resolutions, remains a part of a large reform plan of the judicial systems. This has resulted notably in the adoption of the exequatur law regarding court decisions. Additional reforms included one-stop shop for investors, SPECI, land access, reduction of deadlines, and simplification of formalities for business startup. This reform has helped increase the volume of foreign direct investment, which reached $800 million US, 3 times the level of 2012. And the number of companies created are about 2,800 companies created in 2013 against 396 in 2012. Economic opportunities are becoming more and more attractive and competitive for the local and international private investors in areas such as agriculture and agribusiness, mining, petroleum and gas, energy and housing. Regarding the agricultural sector, in addition to our position as the world leading producer of cocoa beans with 1.5 million tons, or 35 to 40% of the world's supply, Côte d'Ivoire is also the world leading exporter of cashew nuts, the 5th world producer of palm oil, and the 7th for rubber. The Agriculture National Investment Program 2012-2016 aims at modernizing agricultural production, particularly food crop, through higher productivity, increased investment in irrigation, and improvement in value chain. This program, estimated at $4 billion US, will rely on public-private partnership, which would help attract large international agro-industrial holdings and multinationals in this sector. As for mining, the country has a considerable potential, particularly in gold, manganese, diamond, iron ores, nickel, palladium, scandium, as well as petroleum and gas reserves. The Ivorian government is currently working on a major development of iron ores and nickel deposits in the western region of the country through an integrated large project, including railroad and mineral port. Ladies and gentlemen, the investment in the transformational infrastructure project is one of the contributing factors of the growth and the competitiveness of our economy. For example, roads, toll paved bridges and highways at country and regional levels. It is the case of the Lagos-Abidjan Highway, the Abidjan-Ouagadougou and Niamey Highway. The production of power by independent private producers aims at meeting both national and regional needs. The installed capacity will rise from 1,640 megawatt to 4,000 megawatt by 2020. The development of port infrastructures, such as the port authorities of Abidjan and San Pedro, and the modernization of their facilities to welcome and operate efficiently large vessels. The railway subsectors will also undergo significant developments as a result of the exploitation of large mining deposits. The extension and the modernization of a large area of modern airport and related activities in Abidjan through the Aero City project at a cost of $2 billion in order to provide quality services with high added value. Other sectors such as the 100,000 affordable low-income housing, hotel and tourism, specialized health care centers for the region, universities and training centers in partnership with high-standard universities are offering profitable investment opportunities. Our country has a portfolio of 155 projects representing considerable investment opportunities. This portfolio includes 42 public-private partnership projects estimated at $6 billion. Regarding the financial sector, it is one of the most diversified in the sub-region. It includes commercial banks, insurance companies, pension funds, microfinance institutions, and a regional stock exchange. We are currently preparing the reform of this sector with a view to improving its performance and efficiency in the mobilization of savings and credit extension. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the International Forum Invest in Côte d'Ivoire, held in Abidjan from January 29th to February 1st of this year, was attended by more than 3,700 participants coming from 103 countries. This forum led to more than $1.5 billion project investment. In order to attract more private sectors, Côte d'Ivoire will pursue its traditional liberal economic policy. Investing in Côte d'Ivoire offers the opportunities to take advantage of its membership to the WEMU and ECOWAS, the West African Economic and Monetary Union, with 100 million inhabitants and comprises 8 countries with a single currency. The Economic Community of Western African States, ECOWAS, is made of 15 countries with at least 300 million inhabitants. ECOWAS has decided to establish a common external tariff, a trade liberalization scheme, and the creation of a common currency by 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, the diplomatic relations between Côte d'Ivoire and the USA were established on November 21st, 1962. This has been very privileged diplomatic and economic and trade relations. The financial cooperation consists of a support from the American government for the fight against HIV through the program called PEPFAR. As far as AGOA is concerned, the renewal of our eligibility since 2011 offers an opportunity to reinforce the capacity of small and medium-sized enterprises. In addition, the Ivorian government has undertaken significant reforms in 2013 with a view to becoming eligible to the Millennium Challenge Corporation. We will pursue these reforms in 2014 in the areas of economic, financial, and political governance. To conclude, I would like to reiterate the commitment of the Ivorian government to pursue its economic, social, and political reforms to ensure a sustainable development of our country. I would also like to assure you about our resolve to reinforce our diplomatic and economic relations with the United States and to strengthen our business relations with American corporations with due regard to mutual interests of both parties. We are keen to offering the best conditions to our citizens to create jobs and wealth. This could be undertaken through a win-win partnership we would like to establish with all of you. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, for an interesting presentation about Côte d'Ivoire investment opportunity in the US, Canada, and Mexico. His Excellency, with your permission, we would like to proceed with the question and answer. The question and answer will be combined with the press conference based on the scheduled conflicts. So the media are welcome to ask also the question during the Q&A. Thank you very much, His Excellency. The question and answer.
Well, if there is any question, please.
Yes, I'm Gloria Cairns, and my family was the first family to build factories, fashion factories.
They give you the microphone.
I'm Gloria Starkins. I'm a member of the press, but I come from an important business family. We developed the first factories for fashion in India and China in the 60s, exactly the dates you're going back. I know your country. I'm the oldest journalist in the UN, so I've been in the UN when Africa first started coming into the UN and their credentials. I'm also in touch here with your New York office, Mr. Camera, and I think you're one of the most organized, impressive African countries. But my question now, sir, is when we developed factories, we always had a co-venture partner. Somebody from the country who knew the country, who with our dollars put also his financing and dollars. This would be a very big help if for major business where people are putting their family assets, if we can find from people like Mr. Camara or your UN ambassador or Washington ambassador suggested partners for the investment we'd like to make. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Gloria. I don't think that there is no problem to find partners in Côte d'Ivoire, mainly in the fashion sector. The minister in charge of the industry here maybe can give you some precise example, but we can find locally partners because we have one of the larger producers of cotton in the western part of Côte d'Ivoire. We produce about 450,000 tons of cotton, and our aim is to reach 600,000 tons of cotton by 2015. And there is a long-standing relation as far as fashion is concerned, but maybe the minister can give some more information on that. Ah, never mind. Allez-y. Est-ce que ça fonctionne? Vous venez ici alors. Venez là. Venez là. Et après, je prendrai le reste.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would like to say that we have a local Ivorian partner working in various sectors. If you take whether it is in cocoa, coffee, cotton, what that was indicated specifically. The production is mainly from a local partner. You have several companies working in the transformation of, for example, cotton. You have foreign company. You have a partner between foreign and local operator working together. So the potential exists through the Chamber of Commerce of Côte d'Ivoire, to the association of what we call the CEO, I mean the companies, you know, the the owner of company, you can always find, if you want, a local partner in various areas. I've given you the example of some of the agricultural sector, but whether we speak about mining, whether we speak about industry, you have local partners. So the way is to approach the Chamber of Commerce, it's private, public, or the so-called CGC, which is the main organization of bosses, you know, CEOs and so on. And you have local, and you have also international.
My name is Jimmy Reed, and I represent my partners here, EIGC. We are a Hong Kong-based partnership. We represent many countries and many of the Asian conglomerates. Myself I worked as a former Assistant Secretary of Commerce and Trade at the Commonwealth of Virginia, focused on international matters. Okay. And I want to say one thing, that in order to help companies to invest abroad, I have always tried to align three things: corporate competency, access to funding, and of course the insightful understanding of the local policies that gives you those opportunities. And it's been tremendous experience working with Mr. Kamara here. He's been very helpful. We are very thankful for what you've done. And thus, my question is very simple. Number one, could you expand a little bit on certain extraction industry products, sanctions put on them, such as diamonds and so on? Mm-hmm. And number two, what you have done to increase or enhance transparency and also the enforcement of foreign companies' rights in your country, assuming they have invested. That's all, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, as far as Diamond is concerned, as the minister is here, I'll give him the floor to give all his information we need. But as far as transparency is concerned, I mentioned in my speech that that's really important for all of us. If you want to have a long-standing relation, you have to have good governance, as far as the state is concerned, but also with the private sector investing in the country. That's the reason why we put in place a high authority in charge of good governance and to fight against corruption in Côte d'Ivoire. As there's been mentioned before, we have some commercial entities, Chamber of Commerce, and also the, how do you call it in English, the managing of the CEOs gathering in Côte d'Ivoire, which are very important to follow any problem of governments as far as the private sector is concerned. And what we can do as far as this question of governance is concerned, I mentioned earlier that we are attending the OGP in London because we want to be a member of the AGP in London. And I mentioned also earlier that Côte d'Ivoire was among the 10 best world reformers in 2014, according to the Doing Business report, because good governance is really important for all of us. And I think that we have done a lot, but we know that there is still much to do. But we are open to see what's the best elsewhere to improve the situation in the ground. But we have made good progress on that, because that will be the main reason if you want to have to reach and maintain 10% double-digit growth in Côte d'Ivoire. Good governance is really important. But as far as Diamond is concerned, maybe the minister can say a few words on that. D'accord. Si ça marche, allez-y alors. Okay, so as you like.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The question on diamond gave me the opportunity to touch maybe briefly on the mining sector, because I know many of you might have some question. Currently, we have, as the Prime Minister has said, a tremendous potential in the mining sector. We have today 5 mines in gold operating. 2 additional mines will be commissioned in the next, we'll say 15 to 18 months. We have 3 mines in manganese, We have potential in iron ore, about 4 billion ton potential. In nickel also, we have potential exceeding about 300 million ton, bauxite. So the potential in mining is quite important. Diamond also has tremendous potential and possibilities. As you know, during the crisis, because of the civil unrest, we had an embargo imposed by the UN on export of diamond. So since 2011, we have been working very hard to meet the requirement so that this embargo be removed. So last year in November, Côte d'Ivoire was declared Kimberley compliant. So that's the first stage toward removing the embargo. And we hope that in the next few days, I shall say, because this is going to take place in April, the UN Security Council will remove the embargo. This will allow the diamond sector to really be able to benefit from export. And as I said, potential is very, very important. And we hope that this will also encourage not only export, but also production. Just to complete, Côte d'Ivoire is compliant with the EITI process, the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, since 2013, and as I said, with Kimberley. So I think the overall governance process in the mining sector is fully in place. We have a new mining code, which is also in line with international standard. And I think everything is set. We have several investors actively working in exploration, and I gave you already the current production, exploitation of various mines in various areas.
Of the follow-up committee under the theme Private Sector Guide of Integration, Regional Success, and Motor Growth of Côte d'Ivoire. So who are those members of that committee? Because I believe that after this forum as well, all the investors here will want to have a contact point for follow-up. And can you expand a little more about that? Thank you.
Which committee?
The committee, the follow-up committee.
The follow-up committee, okay. Well, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, there was more than 3,700 participants coming from 103 countries. And we have intention of investment of about 800 million, more than $800 million. 800 billion CFA franc. That's 1.6 US dollar. And some things to organize a forum and to meet people and to have intention of investment. But the follow-up is really important. The follow-up committee is comprised of members of economic ministers, but also with the SPECI, who is here, the gentleman, Assis Emmanuel, who is here, and also, well, the member of the presidential cabinet and the prime minister office. So after the forum, the SPECI, which is a kind of secretariat to the committee, made what we call in French une communication en conseil, that a statement to the Council of Ministers to give the situation and also to say what will be the timetable of the follow-up, because he's really in charge of it, because the SPECI is the one-stop shops in Côte d'Ivoire. So we do think that before the end of this year, we'll have results. That's what I give as instruction to SPECI, because each 3 months we have to report to the council to say that, well, that has been done or not done, and to explain why we are in this situation. So the right gentleman is here, Mr. Emmanuel Assis. So he can give you the update of the situation.
We have 2 big subjects, data and energy. Because for any development, we need energy. So one of the big subjects was about data. How you can invest, how you can do right analysis, economic analysis, without the right data. So in my country, do you have any plan to really improve data? Because when we talk about statistics, we are talking about parameters and samples. Parameters are population, and sample is a statistic, because we are doing statistics with the sample. But if we don't have a right a population, can we get a right sample? No. This is why I really want, if possible, if you have started, because you're going to help all investors, because they use data before to really plan to go to make money. The second point was about energy. What energy policy you have actually in Ivory Coast? Because when you want to build industry, you need energy to make production cheaper. My third point is, I'm talking to the investors. You know, Ivory Coast is part of West Africa where you can invest honestly without big risk. You have to tell yourself that if you invest in Africa, you have more chance to make money than investing anywhere. Because, especially for the American, why Chinese is investing there maybe 70 or 90% more than American? What is the reason? Do you think Chinese don't know how to make money? They do. So I'm really inviting Americans to do that, because a lot of students coming here to study, and you're going to be proud if you decide to invest in America, because you are the center of the capitalism and really and the right management. All investors are, they get some problem about political risk. No, please don't think about political risk. Think about helping the people. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. As far as the question of data are concerned, there is the Minister of Planning and Development who is in charge of the data in Côte d'Ivoire. And we have also the BLET, also of Côte d'Ivoire, who have some information, data information. But we are working with the IMF to improve data in Côte d'Ivoire. I met the managing director of the IMF, Mrs. Christine Lagarde, yesterday, and we want, because of the crisis, some of the index was lost. So we are working again to improve data in Côte d'Ivoire. And as far as the population is concerned, we are making a new census in Côte d'Ivoire. Well, as far as energy is concerned, the consumption, the increase in consumption in Côte d'Ivoire is 17% a year. 10% for our local needs, and 7% for the needs of the sub-region, because we export electricity to Ghana, to Togo and Benin, but also to Burkina Faso and to Mali. And we'll be asked to supply electricity to Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea-Conakry. So I mentioned earlier that the capacity is 1,640 megawatts now. And the objective is to reach 4,000 megawatts, because we have, as we mentioned earlier, and underlined by the Minister of Mining, we have a lot of mine in the eastern and the western part of Côte d'Ivoire. And you want to make exploitation of mine, you need electricity, of course. But also you want to modernize the villages. But the aim in 2020 is to, because now the share of electricity produced by gas is 70%, and the dams, hydroelectricity is 30%. We want to shift to have by 2030, let's say 60% coming from hydroelectric dams and 30% from the gas sector. But 10% will come with renewable electricity by sun mainly.
It's something I'm very, very happy to see. This was an absolute top middle-income economy until these last few years. And I like to see the team that was here in the 90s back in now. So if there's a vote of confidence, Mr. Prime Minister and your team,
thank you.
I can give it to you from 40 years of experience. We've involved in a number of sectors, and I will take a segue actually from the last discussion. I noticed that you have on the chart an investment program where 35%, in fact, of the budget is going towards housing.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of being associated the last 6 months with a group here with me called IGS, International Green Structures. We participated in ICI in January. We said we'd be back there by April. We were. We are looking at a number of opportunities in the housing industry, both for housing as well as social, schools, and clinics. The most important part, Prime Minister, is that we're able to build on a green, sustainable basis. So while, yes, it's good to have sand and cement, it's also the fact that there are many other ways to build and save some of that sand on the beaches and wherever else is pulled off. So for us, what I'd be very interested in finding out, and we'll discussion later, is of the 35% as you're looking at investing, and I'm sure there are many others in the housing construction industry here, what is the kind of allocations you're looking at, and what is the way you would encourage, say, those that know Cote d'Ivoire less than we do, to be coming into the market? And again, thank you very much for a very strong team out there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Nedeljkovic. We are pleased to see you again in Cote d'Ivoire. We have a so long-standing relation with you and your company in Cote d'Ivoire. The needs in the housing sector is about 400,000 units in Cote d'Ivoire. And the decision made by the government is to build. We have already launched 75,000 units in Songo, 12,000 in Benjerville, and when we'll be back, we'll launch 24,000 in Grand Bassam. You know that the people of Morocco have launched 10,000 in, let's say, Anyama, and also 10,000 in Lokodiro in Abidjan. Okay, what are the advantages? Of course, we have the investment codes for the import of some goods you need for the building. We give you some incentives. But also we have some decrease in the income tax. Okay? For instance, if you build 10,000 houses, rather than to pay 100% on the income tax, we have a reduction. You only to pay 20%. Okay? If you build only 3,000, you pay 50% of the income tax. So there are different incentives. Also, we help the people for what is called in French the access, les VRD, the access to the local the place to build your house. If you have a big program, you need electricity, water, and sanitation. So the government help for the building of these roads and so on. And so we have only to build the houses. Okay? So that's the incentives we give as far we have big program, not just for, let's say, 100 houses, but if we made 3,000, 10,000, you have many incentives we give to this sector.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Stan Fishman, Bakerwood International.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of visiting the country with the last group of investors.
Okay.
And I found out just two areas. One was the cocoa area and the other was mango. And it appears from the research that I've done that they're losing 30% of the mango crop to rot. It's not getting to a market, and the mango there is really delicious.
Correct.
It occurred to me to start talking to some of the major corporations in this country, since mango is now becoming a major
major juice in the market. That we talk to people like, as an example, I've already discussed this subject with Smucker, the biggest supplier of jelly and jam, a mango jam or a mango strawberry jam. Tropicana, Dole, Coke. I've spoken to all these people in the last 2 weeks, and they want me to give them a proposal on putting up a processing plant in Cote d'Ivoire. And the point is that this would be a perfect time for a joint venture between possibly the government and some of the hedge funds that are here today. Now, the other problem is that the coffee, the cocoa. Cocoa, the people the growers in the country have to be educated in how to take care of their plants, in trimming and in stopping the infestation of disease into the plants, so they're going to lose a large percentage of those plants. Now, these two opportunities, I see all the construction and everything else going on, but to get an international economic move, cocoa and the mango are two of your major products in that country. Ghana is the leader in cocoa. You're number 2. And it appeared to me...
Laissez-le terminer. Please let him finish.
Well, I figured now I know everybody's awake. Basically, the mango has such potential.
Yeah.
Mango juice, mango ice cream, and opening stands right in Cote d'Ivoire to service the people. And the concentration plant would be a minimal amount of money to serve not only Cote d'Ivoire, but also people that like, I don't know whether you've ever heard of them, they're called the Flusser Brothers. They are the largest importer of cocoa in the United States. 80% of the cocoa is within 100 miles of Philadelphia. And yet I'm wondering whether the government of Cote d'Ivoire has ever decided to send somebody in to talk to the Flusser Brothers, or to Mr. Weiner, who has the largest warehouse for cocoa on the East Coast, right in Philadelphia. He's got 100,000 tons of cocoa in there. These are the major people that supply Nestle, Hershey, and all the other manufacturers of chocolate. But the mango product is, to me, I fell in love with it. And I think it has a lot of potential, both in jelly and in juices in this country. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
One thing I have here, in 2000, the cocoa import was $13 billion. In 2013, the import is $20.6 billion. And the concern was that Cote d'Ivoire was going to lose some of their crop because of disease. And there are products such as a company called Sumagro, who does fight the disease in coffee and cocoa plants.
Okay. First, as far as cocoa is concerned, as you have noticed by some rumors, Cote d'Ivoire is the world largest producer with 1.5 million tons a year, and Ghana is second with about 700,000 tons to 800,000 tons. So Cote d'Ivoire is the world largest producer. We process locally 35% locally, but the decision of the government is to process more in order to have more added value locally. So what I would say is that when I was Prime Minister in 1998, I went to the twin towns, Minneapolis and St. Paul's, to meet the people of Cargill. Do you know that Cargill now have a plant in Cote d'Ivoire processing cocoa in Cote d'Ivoire? But as far as the disease is concerned, the name is the swollen shoot. You know it, and our technicians are working on that. It came from what I've been told from Ghana. And we are working together with Ghana to find a solution to that. If there is another solution, we are open to that. Well, we'll be pleased to meet the person of the East Coast importing cocoa from western part of Africa, because we have some possibility of export of cocoa. As far as the mango is concerned, you are right, we have the most delicious mango, I will say the word. We produce this in the region of Montiali, let's say in the northwest of Côte d'Ivoire. And we used to export it to European countries like Germany and so on. And because of the crisis, there was some difficulties in this sector. We are trying to reorganize the sector, and we are pleased to have a possibility to have a joint venture, not with the government, because generally it's not the government work to do that. But we can give you some Ivorian partner on the mango sector, so that we can make some to process it locally.
D'ailleurs du nombre de demandes de rendez-vous. C'est une des raisons pour laquelle d'ailleurs nous avons décalé donc le départ, qui doit avoir lieu finalement donc vers minuit au lieu donc la fin donc de l'après-midi. Il y a beaucoup d'intérêt pour la Côte d'Ivoire. Les gens ont noté le travail important fait par le président Alassane Ouattara en 3 ans, avec des croissances très fortes, et avec la perspective donc d'une croissance à 2 chiffres en 2014-2015, mais surtout donc des opportunités d'investissement donc dans le pays, dans les différents secteurs, que ce soit donc le secteur agricole qui a fait l'objet donc d'échanges, mais aussi beaucoup dans le secteur minier aussi, dont nous avons parlé, mais aussi dans le secteur des ports et des aéroports. Je pense qu'après donc le cocktail tout à l'heure, nous allons rencontrer les uns les autres dans des réunions bilatérales. Et à ce moment-là, on pourra avoir une idée concrète donc des investissements donc qu'ils veulent faire. Je voudrais aussi ne pas oublier de mentionner le secteur de l'énergie, qui a fait l'objet donc de beaucoup d'échanges avec eux. Donc le sentiment que nous avons, c'est que les États-Unis, qui sont donc une grande nation d'hommes d'affaires, et New York, qui est le centre des affaires au niveau international, offre énormément d'opportunités donc d'avoir des partenariats gagnant-gagnant avec la Côte d'Ivoire. C'est une des raisons pour laquelle après donc Washington, et après avoir rencontré une partie du secteur privé à Washington dans le cadre du Corporate Concern Africa, nous avons estimé utile donc de venir ici, et je voudrais donc remercier donc et féliciter M. Nza Kamara pour le travail important donc abattu sur le terrain, qui nous a offert donc la possibilité de rencontrer plus d'une centaine donc d'opérateurs actuellement. Voilà ce que je veux dire. Donc le résultat pour le moment est bon, mais il faut pouvoir donc qu'il y ait un suivi, que les résultats se fassent concrètement ressentir sur le terrain.
Next question. Please, you on the right.
Monsieur le Premier ministre, merci et bonne arrivée.
Merci.
Quel est le temps que vous vous êtes imparti pour la réalisation de manière concrète de tous ces projets qu'on vient d'entendre ce matin? Quand on sait éventuellement que l'année prochaine, ce seront des élections en Côte d'Ivoire. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci beaucoup. Écoutez, bien sûr que, comme diraient les Ivoiriens, en même temps mieux. Le plus tôt est le mieux. Mais vous savez, il y a certains qui avaient des projets qu'on connaissait déjà, d'autres qui ont des projets nouveaux. Donc il faut bien qu'on les saisisse et qu'on discute avec eux pour bien cerner le contour de leurs projets et savoir si ce sont des projets qui vont se faire à Abidjan ou à l'intérieur donc du pays. Donc nous pensons habituellement que les délais sont entre 6 mois et 1 an, à partir donc de l'intention d'investir et le démarrage de la réalisation sur le terrain. C'est ce qu'on note habituellement. Mais c'est important d'avoir ce type de contact parce que ça nourrit le portefeuille des affaires. Merci.
Je voudrais juste me présenter, mais est-ce que je ne m'étais pas présenté au départ? C'est Germain Kwasi, Ivoire TV.
D'accord, merci.
Monsieur le Premier Ministre,
oui.
C'est Chéri Souleymane de Afrique Vision Nouvelle. Vous avez la mission, la difficile mission de convaincre les investisseurs et susciter leur adhésion au programme de développement de la Côte d'Ivoire. Mais il y a un secteur qui n'a pas été suffisamment cité, c'est le secteur du tourisme. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez?
C'est un secteur évidemment important. Je crois que le ministre du Tourisme est déjà passé à plusieurs reprises dans les pays développés, que ce soit donc en France, disons qu'en Europe et même, je crois, ici aux États-Unis. Le tourisme est important en ce sens que ça apporte beaucoup d'investissements. L'objectif, actuellement, nous avons autour de 300 000 touristes. Parce qu'avec la crise, le chiffre était tombé trop bas. On est remonté autour de 300 000 touristes. L'objectif donc du ministre est d'atteindre, disons que 500 000 touristes en 2015 et je crois autour donc de 2 millions de touristes en 2030. Notre gouvernement doit l'aider à réussir donc ce pari parce que c'est à la fois bien sûr des investissements, des exportations, puisque le touriste qui vient et qui achète localement, c'est comme une exportation que l'on a, mais aussi ça crée des liens entre les peuples et aussi ça fait connaître la culture ivoirienne à l'extérieur. Donc le tourisme est un des grands secteurs de l'économie mondiale et la Côte d'Ivoire entend prendre sa part. Oui, merci.
Je suis Ismaël Sissé, quel bilan peut-on faire au jour d'aujourd'hui pour les Ivoiriens de la diaspora qui arrivent pour investir au pays? Au jour d'aujourd'hui, quel bilan peut-on dresser par rapport aux autres investisseurs africains, à part les investisseurs ivoiriens?
Il faut dire que cette part est faible, parce que c'est maintenant qu'on est en train d'organiser la diaspora pour investir dans leur pays. Le président de la République, lors de ses différents voyages, a, disons que, préconisé soit le retour des Ivoiriens, soit, disons que, l'organisation des Ivoiriens à l'extérieur, de manière à ce qu'ils puissent trouver des partenariats pour investir donc dans le pays. Je disais tantôt que nous avons des missions de la diaspora qui sont venues en Côte d'Ivoire, notamment celles donc de France et d'Europe, et qui veulent investir dans certains secteurs, comme le secteur donc de l'électricité, comme dans le secteur donc des bâtiments. Et nous sommes en train de travailler avec ces investisseurs donc de la diaspora. Et je dois dire qu'il faut créer des structures qui permettent d'améliorer l'environnement d'investissement pour la diaspora. Je disais tantôt qu'il faut mettre en place un conseil supérieur de la diaspora à l'étranger qui regroupe toute la diaspora. Il faut aussi que dans chaque pays, il y ait des représentants de cette diaspora. Par exemple, aux États-Unis, on a rencontré lorsque nous étions donc à Washington, mais déjà, ouais, disons que on a vu que dans la capitale, il y a déjà 2 groupes. Vous voyez, il y a un groupe ici à New York, etc. Mais il faut qu'on ait un ensemble, un seul groupe qui représente toute la diaspora aux États-Unis. Quitte à ce qu'il y ait des représentations locales, mais quand on dit qu'on veut travailler avec quelqu'un de la diaspora ici, il faut qu'on ait une personne ou un groupe de personnes qui constituent le bureau qu'on rencontre. C'est un travail qui doit se faire. Et ensuite, on va avoir donc un conseil supérieur de la diaspora pour tous les continents. Voilà. Donc ça, c'est important parce qu'on veut mettre en place un fonds pour aider la diaspora à investir.
Donc, on vous a un peu suivi depuis Abidjan, donc avec le ICI déjà en 2014 cette année. Et nous voulons un peu savoir quel est plus ou moins le plan de tous ces forums. Donc, après New York, quelles sont vos différentes cibles et comment est-ce que vous comptez encore une fois répondre, je dirais, cette nouvelle d'investissement ouvert des opportunités offertes en Côte d'Ivoire?
Non, vous avez raison qu'effectivement, nous avons organisé plusieurs forats pour essayer donc de vendre la Côte d'Ivoire. Le président de la République lui-même a eu à bouger à plusieurs reprises. En venant ici, nous avons fait un forum à Paris pour rencontrer le CIAN, qui est en charge donc d'investissements français donc à l'extérieur. Et nous avons rencontré, comme je l'ai dit tantôt, le Corporate Council in Africa à Washington. Et effectivement, nous rencontrons les investisseurs ici à New York. Quelles sont les prochaines étapes? C'est l'Asie. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup d'investisseurs asiatiques. Le président de la République même est déjà allé à Pékin pour rencontrer, disons que les investisseurs donc asiatiques, chinois. Mais il faut continuer, à la fois au niveau donc, de la Chine, mais aussi au niveau des pays comme la Corée. Disons que aller vers des pays comme Singapour, etc., et qui sont déjà commencés à venir en Côte d'Ivoire, mais pour pouvoir les amener à être plus efficaces et présents. Vous avez par exemple l'Inde qui investit dans le domaine des mines en Côte d'Ivoire, etc. Donc, ce qui est important dans ces forats, c'est après le suivi. Et s'assurer qu'après quelques temps, 6 mois, 1 an, on puisse faire le bilan pour dire, mais écoutez, il y a eu tant de milliards d'intentions d'investissement. Voilà ce qui s'est passé 1 an après. C'est ça qu'il faudrait pouvoir suivre. Et c'est ce travail-là que le président de la République a demandé à l'ensemble du gouvernement donc, de faire. Et je pense, quand vous voyez les taux de croissance de la Côte d'Ivoire, ce sont les résultats de ce travail-là qui sont perçus, parce que, je l'ai indiqué, on a fait quand même du 9,8% de croissance en 2012, 8,7% en 2013, et nous pensons cette année avoir une croissance à 2 chiffres, 10% en 2014 et 2015. Voilà ce que je vais indiquer.
Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre, de nous donner cette occasion. Baba Edara, Center for Public Integrity, basé à Washington, et correspondant du groupe Futur Média, basé à Dakar, au Sénégal. Avoir l'intérêt que les investisseurs américains portent sur votre pays, comment comptez-vous améliorer le transport, la communication entre les États-Unis et la Côte d'Ivoire? À voir ce qui se passe en ce moment, les gens perdent des heures d'escale, soit à Bruxelles ou à Paris. Comment comptez-vous améliorer ce département? La deuxième question, c'est le plan de l'agro. Comment améliorer ou changer de stratégie pour que les Ivoiriens puissent vraiment profiter du programme d'AGOA? Voir les résultats, c'est insignifiant. Ce que représente la Côte d'Ivoire en Afrique de l'Ouest, et c'est insignifiant actuellement ce qu'il ramène ou ce qu'il puisse vraiment amener dans ce pays.
D'accord, mais écoutez, d'abord pour les voyages directs, vous savez qu'au niveau d'Abidjan, nous sommes en train de travailler sur la certification de l'aéroport d'Abidjan. Le président de la République a demandé que nous fassions de manière telle que nous puissions avoir cette certification à la fin de cette année. La certification avec, qui permettrait donc à la Federal Aviation Association des États-Unis d'indiquer que l'aéroport d'Abidjan permet des vols sûrs. Je pense que quand on voit ça à la fin de l'année, ça permettrait donc de vols directs sur les États-Unis, notamment des discussions en cours actuellement avec Delta Airlines. Je crois qu'il y a une mission qui va bientôt venir à Abidjan au mois, donc, à la fin du mois d'avril, début du mois donc, de mai. Et je pense que... 12 ou 16 mai. Bon, donc, M. Kablan me dit si c'est là du 12 ou 16 mai, et leur présence à Abidjan. Parce que la dernière fois, quand j'étais venu aux États-Unis, j'ai fait une halte d'ailleurs à Atlanta avec d'ailleurs M. Nzakamara pour rencontrer les gens de Delta Airlines. Donc vous voyez que quand on bouge, ça donne des résultats. Ils viennent bientôt au niveau d'Abidjan et ils vont nous appuyer sur ce dossier. Je crois qu'une fois qu'on a la certification, vous pourrez donc faire certainement des vols directs Abidjan-Atlanta ou Abidjan-New York. C'est une facilitation donc, disons que importante. Et nous sommes aussi en train de discuter avec les gens de Air Canada, mais aussi avec une compagnie privée appelée Sunwing, pour qu'on puisse avoir aussi des vols directs vers, donc, disons que Montréal, pour l'avenir. Alors maintenant, en ce qui concerne la Goa, qui est donc votre deuxième point, effectivement, la Côte d'Ivoire a été agréée depuis fin 2011, et effectivement, il n'y a pas encore suffisamment d'exploitation des possibilités de la Goa. On en parlait tout à l'heure avec M. Dibeng, qui est en charge donc, de ce dossier, Mais je pense parce qu'il faut d'abord informer les entreprises des possibilités de l'AGOA et travailler dans ce sens. Le ministre donc, des Mines et de l'Industrie ici présent, il travaille de manière à ce que nous ayons, dans ce secteur, nous avons quand même des possibilités importantes, comme c'était textile, à exporter davantage à ce niveau. Il y a une dame camerounaise qui était là tout à l'heure, qui a parlé donc, disons que du secteur, disons que des handicrafts, disons que donc des jouets à exporter, des problèmes donc des biens culturels à exporter. La Côte d'Ivoire a des possibilités dans ce domaine. Donc il s'agit pour nous d'occuper les potentialités du marché américain de manière à pouvoir exporter donc vers donc ce grand pays, parce que les possibilités sont énormes.
À ce forum, alors, un mot.
Mais je crois que ce forum s'est passé dans de très bonnes conditions. Au niveau de ceux qui ont participé au niveau américain, la qualité, des gens très curieux, qui avaient quelque chose à présenter, ça c'est important. Bien entendu, prestation extraordinaire du Premier Ministre avec ses collaborateurs. Je crois que d'une manière générale, on peut dire qu'il était important qu'il y ait cet événement dans la ville la plus importante en termes de financement. Ça c'est important. New York est une ville mythique. Il était important qu'avec notre ambition d'être un pays émergent, que nous ayons cette journée. Donc je voudrais vraiment féliciter le SPECI avec son directeur, avec le délégué général, pour avoir fait cette... Nous en tirons d'énormes leçons. Nous allons recevoir cet après-midi les opérateurs économiques américains. Je suis certain qu'on fera du business, pour ainsi parler. Voilà ce que je veux dire.
Alors, Monsieur Gimbengue, notons que vous êtes le directeur général de l'APEXI. Alors comment se porte votre structure aujourd'hui?
Mais la structure se porte très bien, hein. C'est très bien, d'autant plus que nous gérons l'AGOA. C'est un peu ma présence des relations des États-Unis et de la Côte d'Ivoire. Nous travaillons pour l'éligibilité de la Côte d'Ivoire au MCC. Et dans cet objectif d'avoir un pays émergent, l'APEXI joue son rôle.
Monsieur le directeur général, est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter? Moi, c'est Germain Kwasi d'Ivoire TV. Est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter à nos amis auditeurs? Et puis, apparemment, est-ce que vous êtes satisfait de votre séjour ici?
Bien, alors je m'appelle Pascal Krakofi, je suis le directeur général du Bureau national d'études techniques et de développement, qui est une structure qui a été créée depuis 1978 et qui intervient dans le domaine de l'ingénierie, des études, du contrôle et qui assiste le gouvernement dans la réalisation des grands chantiers de Côte d'Ivoire. Je crois que nos références sont bien connues. Nous avons contribué à la réalisation de la plupart des grands chantiers qui se font en Côte d'Ivoire. Notre séjour se passe très bien. Le séminaire forum a été organisé dans des conditions excellentes. Nous avons pu noter la participation de personnalités de qualité, d'hommes d'affaires de qualité. Et je crois que nous devons remercier le représentant de la Côte d'Ivoire, n'est-ce pas, aux États-Unis, au Canada et au Mexique, M. Enza Camara, qui a fait un travail formidable pour que cela puisse se faire. Nous sommes satisfaits de notre séjour.
Au nom de notre organisation Ivoire TV, nous devons vous souhaiter un bon retour en Côte d'Ivoire. Et puis je crois que vous n'êtes pas venu seul. Donc avec votre permission, nous allons demander à la dame qui vous accompagnait de se présenter. Bien sûr avec votre permission. Oui, madame, est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je suis madame Dri Eugénie, directeur communication et marketing du Bénet.
Bonjour madame.
Bonjour monsieur.
Est-ce que vous pouvez vous présenter s'il vous plaît?
Je suis madame Ake Lisange et je vis à New Jersey. Donc je suis venue participer au forum organisé par le Premier Ministre de la Côte d'Ivoire.
Voilà. Qu'est-ce que vous avez retenu de ce forum?
J'ai une bonne impression. Je vois le développement que la Côte d'Ivoire est en train qui est à l'horizon de la Côte d'Ivoire. Je vois tous les projets qu'ils ont constatés. C'est une bonne chose de voir que le Premier Ministre vient jusqu'ici pour chercher des investisseurs pour permettre le développement du pays. C'est rassurant pour ceux qui ont prévu retourner et puis qui veulent voir un pays stable. Donc ça fait plaisir de voir que le pays travaille et que ça avance.
Est-ce que vous êtes prête à continuer sur cette lancée du Premier Ministre à faire la promotion de la Côte d'Ivoire?
Bien sûr, parce que partout où un Ivoirien se trouve, c'est un peu le reflet de son pays. Donc, c'est toujours un peu comme un devoir de représenter dignement ce pays-là. Donc, ma personnalité, la façon dont je me présente aux autres, c'est un aperçu de ce que le pays est pour les autres. Et donc, un peu partout, qu'on le veuille ou non, on est un peu l'image du pays. Et donc, la promotion se fait naturellement par chaque citoyen à l'extérieur.
Merci bien.
Merci bien.
Ministre, bonne arrivée ici aux États-Unis.
Oui, merci beaucoup. C'est un plaisir. Toujours heureux de venir à New York, ici aux États-Unis.
Vous êtes le ministre de l'Industrie et des Mines. Alors, comment se comporte aujourd'hui votre département et comment va la Côte d'Ivoire?
Je crois que, comment va la Côte d'Ivoire? Vous avez entendu le Premier Ministre ce matin. Je crois que la Côte d'Ivoire se porte bien. Il y a des réformes et des progrès qui sont accomplis depuis plusieurs années maintenant sous la haute direction du président de la République, M. Alassane Ouattara. Et toutes les réformes qui ont été mises en œuvre se sont traduites par un taux de croissance très élevé, en moyenne 9% au cours des 3 dernières années. C'est parmi les plus élevés pratiquement dans le monde. Et donc, les réformes ont ramené la confiance. La confiance est essentielle pour les investisseurs nationaux et internationaux. Et c'est pour ça qu'on a des taux d'investissement très élevés dans tous les secteurs. Je crois que vous avez entendu l'agriculture, l'industrie, les mines, le domaine du tourisme, enfin, tous ces secteurs contribuent aujourd'hui à la croissance et au développement de notre pays. Donc, pour l'industrie, ça évolue très bien. Nous sommes sur une forte dynamique avec des investissements dans beaucoup de domaines industriels. Et le secteur minier, je l'ai aussi indiqué, il y a du potentiel. Nous avons aujourd'hui 5 mines d'or en exploitation, nous avons 3 mines de manganèse, nous avons du potentiel dans le domaine du fer, à l'ouest, du nickel, de la bauxite, du diamant. Donc nous pensons que la Côte d'Ivoire est connue pour être un pays agricole, mais il est aussi en voie de devenir un pays minier dans les années qui viennent, si ce n'est déjà le cas.
Monsieur le ministre, vous êtes là, et quelle est la part qui vous est réservée dans tous les projets de la Côte d'Ivoire?
Donc, je crois que ce qui est important, c'est de noter qu'au fond, on travaille tous au niveau du gouvernement pour atteindre les objectifs que le chef de l'État a fixés. Et donc, chaque département contribue bien entendu à son niveau. Pour nous, comme je l'ai dit, au niveau du ministère de l'Industrie et des Mines, c'est au niveau de l'industrie d'accroître la transformation de nos matières premières, d'ouvrir de nouvelles perspectives pour le développement industriel, de contribuer à la création des emplois et de transformer notre économie. Au lieu d'une économie primaire, de devenir une économie qui se modernise à travers la transformation. Au secteur des mines, c'est ça aussi, c'est développer notre potentiel minier et également permettre à ce que ce potentiel contribue à la richesse nationale, à l'emploi et aussi à l'économie.
Bon retour en Côte d'Ivoire, monsieur le ministre.
Merci beaucoup, c'était un grand plaisir.
Vous l'avez découvert ici. Que vous avez découvert Ivoire TV. Ivoire TV.